He'll ruin the perfect family image. Vanessa's voice dripped with disdain as she adjusted her designer blouse, deliberately turning away from my son James in his wheelchair. This gallery exhibition could make my career as a photographer. I can't have anything imperfect. My name is Olivia Parker, and at that moment, standing in my in-laws' lavish backyard during what was supposed to be a simple family photo shoot, I felt my world shift. My 7-year-old son James, bright-eyed and wearing his favorite superhero t-shirt, gripped my hand tighter, his other hand steady on his wheelchair's control. "He's your nephew, Vanessa," I said, keeping my voice level despite the anger bubbling inside me. "This is a family portrait." "Exactly." She gestured dramatically at the rest of the family, arranged perfectly on the garden terrace. "Family portraits need to show the best version of us. The perfect version. I'm showcasing these at my gallery opening next month. It's my big break." My mother-in-law, Margaret, ever the peacekeeper when it suited her agenda, stepped forward. "Perhaps James could wait inside. We'll take a few without the equipment." She glanced nervously at the wheelchair, as if it might somehow taint her precious family image. I looked at my husband, David, silently pleading for support, but he just shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. 10 years of marriage, and he still couldn't stand up to his family when it mattered most. "Mom?" James's voice was small, confused. "Why doesn't Aunt Vanessa want me in the pictures?" That did it. Something inside me snapped. "We're leaving," I announced, turning James's wheelchair around. "If my son isn't welcome in your perfect family portraits, then neither am I." "Oh, don't be so dramatic," Vanessa called after us. "You're making a scene. This is about art, not about—" "Not about what?" I spun around, my voice sharp. "Not about discrimination. Not about teaching children that they're only valuable if they fit your narrow definition of perfect." The gathered family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, all stood in uncomfortable silence. My father-in-law busied himself with his phone, while David's cousin suddenly found the manicured lawn fascinating. "You're ruining everything," Vanessa hissed. "This exhibition is my chance to break into the art world. These family portraits are meant to showcase the beauty of perfect family moments." I almost laughed at the irony. Perfect family moments, like making your nephew feel unwelcome, like teaching your own children that their cousin isn't good enough for their aunt's precious photos. James tugged at my sleeve. "Mom, it's okay. I don't need to be in the pictures." My heart broke hearing those words from my son, who had already faced more challenges in his 7 years than most people do in a lifetime. Born with spinal muscular atrophy, he had never taken a step, but he'd never let that dim his bright spirit until now. "No, honey, it's not okay," I said firmly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "There's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with your wheelchair. The problem isn't with you. It's with people who can't see past their own prejudices." David finally found his voice. "Liv, maybe we could just—" "Just what?" I cut him off. "Just hide our son away. Teach him to be ashamed of who he is? Is that what you want?" He fell silent again, and in that silence, I made a decision that would change everything. "James, sweetheart," I said, kneeling beside his wheelchair. "How would you like to do our own photo shoot? Just you and me." His face lit up. "Really? Can I wear my cape?" "Absolutely, and you know what? We'll make it even better than this one." Vanessa scoffed. "Oh, please. What do you know about photography? You're just trying to spite me." I smiled, thinking about the camera equipment sitting in my home office, the photography degree I had put aside when James was born, and the connections I still had in the art world. "You'd be surprised what I know, Vanessa. Come on, James. Let's go home." As we left, I heard Margaret trying to reorganize everyone for the perfect family portrait and Vanessa complaining about the time we'd wasted, but I didn't care anymore. I had a plan forming, one that would not only teach him a lesson but also show James that being different didn't mean being less than. Little did they know, Vanessa's precious gallery opening was about to get some unexpected competition. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. "Hello, Marcus. It's Olivia Parker. Remember that favor you owe me? I think it's time to cash it in. How would you feel about hosting an exhibition next month?" The wheels were in motion, and for the first time in years, I felt truly excited about picking up my camera again. They wanted perfect family portraits. I'd show them what real family looked like in all its beautiful, imperfect glory. James looked up at me as we drove home, his eyes curious. Mom, what are you planning? I reached over and squeezed his hand. Something amazing, sweetheart. Something that's going to show everyone just how perfect you already are. The next few weeks would be busy, but watching Vanessa's perfect family facade crumble at her own gallery opening would be worth every second of preparation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about showing people the beauty they're too blind to see. The next few weeks passed in a whirlwind of activity. While Vanessa flooded social media with sneak peeks of her perfect family portraits, I was busy creating something entirely different. Our spare room became a makeshift studio, and James proved to be the most enthusiastic model I'd ever worked with. "Can we do another one with a spaceship backdrop?" he asked one evening, his cape flowing behind his wheelchair as he posed. "I want to look like I'm flying through the stars." I adjusted my camera settings, smiling at his excitement. "Absolutely. But first, let's get one more with the natural light by the window. The sunset is perfect right now." The photo series was coming together beautifully, not just shots of James, but candid moments of real families I'd invited to participate. Parents with children who had various disabilities, siblings supporting each other, moments of challenge and triumph. Each photo told a story of love that wasn't perfect, but was real. David walked in during one of our sessions, stopping short when he saw our setup. "Liv, what is all this?" "This," I said, reviewing the shots on my camera, "is what family really looks like." He picked up one of the printed photos, James laughing as he did a wheelie in his chair, sunlight catching his face just right. "These are incredible." "But what about Vanessa's exhibition?" "What about it?" I continued working, not looking up. "Marcus Reeves is hosting my series at his gallery. Opening night is the same as Vanessa's." "Marcus Reeves? The Marcus Reeves?" David's voice cracked. "Liv, that's one of the most prestigious galleries in the city. Vanessa's going to lose it." Maybe she should have thought about that before excluding her nephew from the family photos. James wheeled over to us. "Dad, want to see the space photos?" Mom made me look like an astronaut. I watched as David knelt beside our son's wheelchair, really looking at the photos for the first time. I saw the moment it hit him, what he had allowed his sister and mother to do, what it meant to James. "These are amazing, buddy," he said softly. "You look like a real superhero." "Mom says I already am one," James beamed. "We're calling the exhibition Perfect Imperfections. Cool, right?" David looked at me, something shifting in his expression. "I'm sorry, Liv. I should have stood up to them that day." "Yes, you should have," I agreed. "But you can stand up to them now." The day before both exhibitions were set to open, Vanessa called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "How dare you?" she started without preamble. "You're trying to sabotage my big night. Mom's furious and half the family is talking about going to your exhibition instead of mine." "Funny how that works," I replied calmly. "People seem interested in seeing real family moments instead of staged perfection." "Real family moments," she scoffed. "You're just bitter because I wouldn't let your son ruin my photos. Not everyone wants to see disability in their art." I thought about the dozens of families who participated in my project, about their stories, their strength, their beauty. "You know what, Vanessa? That's exactly why this exhibition needs to happen, because people like you need to see what you're missing." "Is that what this is about, revenge?" "No," I said firmly. "It's about showing my son, and everyone else, that different doesn't mean less. That real beauty isn't about perfection." While she snapped, "We'll see which exhibition the critics prefer tomorrow night, won't we?" "Yes," I agreed. "We will." After hanging up, I found James in his room, practicing his speech for the opening. We decided he would introduce the exhibition, something he was both nervous and excited about. "Mom?" He looked up from his notes. "What if people don't like the photos?" I sat on his bed, reaching for his hand. "Honey, these photos aren't about what other people like. They're about showing the truth, that every family has its own kind of perfect." He nodded thoughtfully, like how Tommy's mom carries him up the stairs because his legs don't work, or how Sarah's sister helps her eat when her hands shake too much. "Exactly," I smiled, thinking of the other families we photographed. Those moments might not look perfect to people like Aunt Vanessa, but they're beautiful because they're real. "Dad said he's coming to our exhibition instead of Aunt Vanessa's," James added. "He said he's proud of us." I felt a warmth in my chest. Maybe this project was healing more than just James's hurt feelings. Maybe it was healing our whole family, or at least the parts that were willing to be healed. That night, as I finished mounting the last of the photos for the exhibition, I came across one I'd almost forgotten about. It was from years ago, before James's diagnosis, our whole family together at a picnic. Vanessa was there, actually smiling at baby James on her lap. Margaret and my father-in-law were there too, looking relaxed and happy. For a moment, I felt a pang of sadness for what we'd lost. But then I looked at our new photos. James beaming in his wheelchair, proud and strong, surrounded by other families who understood that love doesn't require perfection. We've lost something, yes, but we gained something far more valuable, the courage to be authentically ourselves. Tomorrow, both galleries would open their doors. Vanessa would show her carefully curated vision of family perfection, while across town, we would show the beautiful reality of family love in all its forms. And regardless of what the critics thought, I knew we'd already won. The night of the gallery opening arrived with an electric energy in the air. I helped James straighten his bow tie as we stood outside Marcus's gallery, watching people stream in, far more than I'd expected. "Ready, superhero?" I asked, giving his shoulder a gentle squeeze. He took a deep breath, gripping his note cards. "Ready, Mom." Inside, the gallery was transformed. Large black and white photos lined the walls, interspersed with vibrant color shots. Each image told a story. A father carrying his daughter with cerebral palsy through a splash pad, both laughing with pure joy. A teenager in a wheelchair helping his younger sister with homework. James suspended in mid-air against a star-filled backdrop, his cape flowing behind him like a real superhero. "Olivia, this is extraordinary," Marcus said, approaching us with a champagne flute in hand. "The rawness, the emotion, it's exactly what the art world needs right now." Before I could respond, I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Mom, the place is packed." David hurried over, looking slightly frazzled. "You won't believe who's here. Half the family came and they brought friends. Even Dad showed up." My father-in-law stood near one of the larger prints, studying it intently. It was the photo of James doing a wheelie, his face full of determination and joy. The murmur of the crowd quieted as Marcus stepped up to the small podium we'd set up. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Perfect Imperfections. Tonight, we're honored to have a very special guest introduce this extraordinary exhibition." James wheeled forward, his nervousness forgotten as he began to speak. "Hi, everyone. I'm James Parker, and these are my family photos. Not just my mom and dad, but all the families who are different, just like mine. My aunt once said I'd ruin a perfect family picture because of my wheelchair. But Mom showed me that being different isn't ruining anything, it's just being real." The room erupted in applause. I noticed my father-in-law wiping his eyes and several of the art critics nodding appreciatively. Then the gallery doors burst open and Vanessa stormed in, her face flushed. "Nobody came," she announced, her voice shrill. "My exhibition is empty because you all decided to come to this. She stopped short, finally really looking at the photos surrounding her. Her eyes landed on one in particular, the old family picnic photo I'd included, placed next to a recent shot of James in the same park. That's from before," she said quietly. "Before what, Vanessa?" I asked. "Before you decided your idea of perfection was more important than family." She stood there, taking in the crowd, the critics, the overwhelming response to the exhibition. Then her gaze fell on James, who was being congratulated by a group of admirers. "I never meant to," she started, then stopped. "The photos are beautiful, Olivia. All of them." It wasn't quite an apology, but something in her expression had shifted. Sometimes, seeing yourself through others' eyes can be the harshest reality check. The evening wound down with incredible success. 3 critics wrote glowing reviews on the spot, and Marcus had already sold several prints. But the real triumph came when I found James surrounded by a group of kids, some in wheelchairs, some not, all excitedly planning a group photo shoot. "Mom," he called out, "can we do it? Can we take pictures of all of us together?" "Of course we can, sweetie." Margaret appeared at my elbow, looking uncharacteristically humble. "Olivia, you were wrong. These photos, they show such love, such beauty. I'm sorry we couldn't see it before." Later that night, as David helped me pack up the remaining prints, he pulled me close. "You know what James said to me earlier? He said he's glad Aunt Vanessa didn't want him in her photos, because then you wouldn't have made all this happen. I looked around the gallery at the walls covered with images of real families, real love, real moments of both struggle and triumph. Sometimes the best things come from the worst moments. As we left, I noticed one last guest lingering by the photo of James as an astronaut. She was in a wheelchair herself, probably around 15, and she was crying. "Everything okay?" I asked gently. She turned to me with a smile. "Yeah, it's just, I've never seen anyone like me in an art gallery before. Not like this, not looking strong and beautiful, and perfect," I suggested. She nodded. Perfect. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about proving Vanessa wrong or healing our family's wounds. It was about changing the narrative, one photo at a time, showing the world that perfect doesn't mean flawless. Perfect means real, authentic, and beautifully, wonderfully human.